You want to record your voice. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you so much to both of you as a parent. Me and my team are doing research entitled Teaching Strategy for the 21st Century Learners. My research is just focused to the teaching strategy of the teacher in ASEAN, in Islamic school.
Okay.
We went to Ummul Qura, Bogor, Indonesia, last 2 days, and yesterday we went to Al Hidayah, Johor Bahru, and today Al Arabiya, and asking and interview the teachers, parents, students about the teaching and learning in the classroom. What the teaching and learning in the 21st century should be. So we asked the teachers in Islamic school in ASEAN. The result of the research will propose to the Thai government, and we will develop a model for teaching in Islamic school and for the teacher in southern Thailand. Yeah. So for the parent, we just want to ask about what can parent get involved in the 21st century learning. Your perception. Do you allow your kid to use technology in home or something like that to support the school? Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you so much. My name is Afifi, Muhammad Afifi, from Prince of Songkhla University. I'm teaching in the College Islamic Studies. And Brother Sadiq is a mathematics teacher in Hat Yai Vidyakan School, Hat Yai, Songkhla Province. Sister Fatima Laila,
English lecturer in Prince of Songkhla University.
The same university.
So Prince of Songkhla University is Islamic university or is
No, it's a government
secular
university.
Okay.
Yeah. But under the university we have Islamic College, Faculty of Islamic Studies.
Okay.
And we also have a school, Islamic Demonstration School. We have opened it for 2 years. It's the third batch. And another two, Dr. Ibrahima Lamin Sano. He's a Usul Fiqh, PhD in Usul Fiqh in my college as well.
Okay.
He's from Guinea.
From Guinea.
Yeah. And Dr. Yusuf is from the Faculty of Humanity and Social Science. Is in English as well.
Yes, yes.
And Dr. Najma from the Yala Rajapat University, different university.
Okay.
He is teaching educational research and psychology. My first question I want to ask about, do parents know about the 21st century learning? Your perspective on.
Oh,
What do you see? What do you think about 21st century?
I mean, if we're talking about 21st century learning, right?
Yes.
Per se, for parents, we don't really see the what do you call it, a clear line of shift. To us, it's a natural shift from the old to the new, because I mean we don't actually do the demarcation of this is post or pre 21st and this post 21st, but I see it as a incremental over the years. Alright, the change of learning, the way they were taught and stuff. Because in the past it's always about regimental, where you sit down, teacher teach, take exam. But now it's more on research based. So more and more students are exposed to empirical thinking rather than spoon feeding. Okay, which is a good way. It's a good way of moving forward. But I think what happened here is we are still following what the Westerns are doing in a way, because there's no, maybe we do our research, but actually all based on findings that's come out from the Western side. Because I mean, coming from, I used to actually live in UK, so the way they taught even from primary school, from the age of 3 or 4, is they will straight away start with empirical learning, research. That means they don't actually give you the answers, but they ask you to find out. Research based.
Dr. Yusuf graduated from the UK as well, from
Okay.
Southampton University.
Alright, okay.
Dr. Yusuf.
Yeah, so my son started off there, and the first thing that they do is more about getting the child to learn about critical thinking. Like they put a concept, okay, this month we talk about beach, and then everything that comes into beach, the science, the geography, the alphabet, everything, all focus around that particular concept. And when they do sciences, they will actually, rather than they give the answers, they let them do the experiment, and they say, okay, write a hypothesis, and say, oh, that's quite strange. When they write the hypothesis first, they think what's going to happen, and then when it happens, then they explain, okay. So it's actually bringing more towards, empirical studies and stuff.
Alright.
Okay, Bismillah. I see the school is trying to implement the current strategies that is found in national schools. They try to implement certain things that something like making thinking visible on all those approaches. That the fundamental is based on what is that constructivist approach. Okay. But there is a balance here. Okay, it is true that MAI is more experimental, more open to new pedagogies, but they still have that sense of trying to prepare the students for the examinations, because as much as MAI wants to follow the trends in developing pedagogies, but they still want to make sure that the kids are able to pass the exams. Okay, so there is a balanced approach here. Okay, I'm attracted to have my child here because they don't only have a certain way of assessment, not only pen and paper, but even in science. Now we are going to stuff like project-based learning, where the assessment is no longer pen and paper, straightforward. The child has to go for learning journeys, and there's also enrichment activities like the RSP, even the Arduino, where the child explores, whatever that he or she wants to explore. For example, in RSP itself, RSP is Visual Skill Program. The child is equipped for the 21st century skill by basically collaborative learning, able to communicate their thoughts, able to express their ideas, able to obtain information from multiple sources, not only from books, from journals, even from interviews with other people who are learned in the actual field. For example, they can interview the geography teacher, they can interview the physics teacher, whatever that actually helps them to achieve what they want to achieve or find out what they want to find out. Okay, so learning now has become borderless. Okay, much like the 21st century, it is quite borderless now. Information is able to be shared openly without borders. So that's and the students are learning this over here.
Can you give me some example about the difference between the learning and teaching in your age?
Many examples.
With the learning in the current society or the 21st century society, what are different?
The
Example.
First, technology lah.
Technology, yeah.
The technology is like in the past, it's all based on physical item, right? Papers, books. And when you want to do reference, you got to go to the library. You got to go to last time you have internet in the past, but internet is not restricted to academics, so you don't have access to it, and information are not readily available. Right now, I think the teachers will have difficulty sometimes because the students are a bit more. Some of the students are a bit more proactive. They ask questions beyond
the textbook.
Yeah.
But you have to answer as you are the parent now, not the teacher, okay?
My
As a
my child
parent.
is basically asking me things that I cannot answer now. Because the child came back home with certain project work, even in Islamic project work, he's supposed to find out something about the fiqh of traveling. Okay, the fiqh of traveling, which is not covered in the textbook, which I myself don't really cover that much when even as an adult. So I'm amazed at the amount of research that he has done. For example, I'm a science teacher, but he asked me about what defines a traveler, what defines a person who stays as a permanent resident. All the questions are critical questions, and the questions are quite deep and requires a broad. You have to have a broad set of Islamic knowledge to answer. So the learning of Islam now is no longer like you have to read the textbook and then after that hafal means memorize all the facts. He has to go and search for the dalil and then make it into a pamphlet for everybody to understand. Okay, for example, he has to get the dalil, get the information, and then after that package it nicely into a pamphlet. Then at the end of the day, he showed me the pamphlet. Then I understand. Oh, like this. Then I can learn from my child. So the thing is, it's no longer like exam based like last time. And the way it is graded, like I hardly see any ticks and crosses. But I have feedback from the asatiza that your child didn't include the dalil. Your child has to work on this area. Your child did not cover this aspect. So it becomes very customized, very detailed. Where it's genuine learning. It's what is the thing called? I don't know how it's called. Authentic. Authentic. It's very nice. Really, I'm amazed at how Islam is being taught, especially through Didi lah.
Thank you. Do you think that the school, Al Arabiya school, will prepare your kid for the
21st century
so far?
So far, because it's Sec 1, it's too early to tell. Okay, but so far he's developing well because he's open to different opinions. Okay, his interaction with his friends, right? He's open to different opinions. He is not judgmental. Usually when he hears something, he will check. Alright, he does not readily accept information. He will basically ask around, ask for opinion, open-minded. In that way, I think he's developed quite well. Last time when we are younger, right, we are designed like whatever people say, okay, this must be true. It's from the future, you know. Verification. We don't criticize, we don't critique the information, but they don't critique, they don't judge, but they will, somehow find their own way. Even as a Sec 1 student, this is
Do you
like
think the
way
school
beyond
is doing well so far for
Okay,
preparing?
my son graduated last year, so now he's at first year in Polytechnic. Right, from what I can say, I mean, traditionally when you talk about madrasah, right, people say, oh, these are all very enclosed, isolated. But for Al Arabiya, it's different because the approach is not purely Ukrawi, but it's more about sciences, academic. And so, but what they're trying to do is they try to gel both academic and Islamic studies together, and they try to actually show the link between it. Who found things like algebra and stuff like that. So there are certain bits of pieces of information like that. But the good thing for the development of the child is that they have a best of both world balance. one thing I find beneficial is he managed to actually, I mean, good thing lah for us in the past. When you go secular, right, the Islamic studies become a back burner. But this one is actually upfront together, so he can do his Al-Quran reading, he can read and he can understand, and then he also can ace on his academic studies, and that's where he can actually excel and go. What I'm trying to say here is, because at this development stage, right, you don't know which way you're going, either Ukrawi or the academics. So this position, the one that Madras is doing, is providing them both opportunities. So when they said, I want to do sciences, so you already have the background. If you say I want to do Ukrawi, then you just focus on the Ukrawi side. Although over here it's not as extensive as some other madrasah where they've got linkage with universities and the Arabic fantastic. Here the Arabic is purely O-level Arabic. But the good thing is, important is they get the basics. So because secondary is all that's what it says, secondary is basics. Once you go to poly, you can then or pre-U, then you start focusing what you want to do. So I think they have the balance there.
What do you think about the use of smartphone or handphone in the school?
You see an impact.
Okay, I look at technology as a tool, just like a knife. Okay, if the knife is used by a wrong person, it becomes a murderous weapon. But if you use for a good thing, it can be useful to cut, cut your food for your cooking. So same for smartphone. End of the day, it's more about making sure. It's not about you can police that. You can actually tell them you don't do this, you don't do that. But we are all young before, right?
Yeah.
The moment your parents say don't do this, they will do that. Yeah. So more about giving them a knowledge and information. This is dangerous. That's dangerous. And they are on the part of critical thinking. Adolescents, they like to think and explore.
But the school think in contrast what you say.
Well, the
school they think that the technology is a knife.
No, really. Because, okay.
Most of the school they don't allow. They don't allow.
But in Alauddin,
in general,
yeah.
they don't
But
allow.
in here, what I can see is even the teachers are actually communicating with our students in WhatsApp. In fact, we parents who says you shouldn't be doing that.
Correct. At first I feel uncomfortable because too much power given to a young person sometimes is dangerous because they have no maturity to handle this kind of power that is given to them. But Alhamdulillah, the thing is, I myself am a very strict parent. My child is only allowed to use Chrome, Google Chrome, as well as Instagram. No, Instagram I allow. But there are certain things that we tell them, right? For example, we have the right to go through their phone. Whatever that they are doing, we can go through. So we set the rules, okay? And I cannot deny my child having a phone because in the classes now, they are using Kahoot.
Yes,
Kahoot.
Kahoot.
And then after that, my own class, so we are using what's that thing called Padlet.
Padlet.
So, and then Google Classroom. Okay, the child had to submit his work assignment using Google Classroom for some of my classes and for his class also. So the thing is, we cannot completely ban the phone. I as a parent, I'm scared, but I have to let go my fear because it's part of 21st century skills.
Yes.
Being able to use information technology is part of 21st century skills. I always tell my wife that we have no choice. We're in 21st century, we're not in 1980s anymore.
Undeniable.
Undeniable. Cannot.
In the Islamic school in Indonesia and Malaysia still not allow students to.
I heard of that. I mean, like some one.
In Thailand too.
I heard one pesantren in Indonesia. I think is in Jawa Tengah, is it? Jawa Tengah, where they actually have direct link with Madinah University.
Yeah.
So down there is totally banned. No
Banned.
no phone.
No phone.
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah. So no phone for them for the whole term.
Yeah.
That means switch off the phone, keep in the cupboard, lock it for 6 months.
Poor thing.
Masya
Yeah.
Allah.
Yeah. But I think they have a reason why they do that because they are focused on memorization the Quran and stuff like that. So all these are distraction for them.
Maybe really.
Yeah, but that's the reason lah. But depends. We cannot strictly say they do this just merely because they don't like technology, but because they know it's a distraction. Yeah. Whereas for certain subjects, you need that to research and find information. So there must be a trade ways lah. Where some have to restrict, some have to allow.
You just could have like a channel to inform the parent, or you can follow up your student achievement through the online system.
We don't have that.
For the school.
No, the student one. I don't remember what it's called lah.
The student one have.
I mean in
cannot
Arabia,
have,
in the
have
school.
lah.
You have the like
what is it called?
the online
Group chat, group
check
blog or whatever.
No, class dojo.
Class dojo.
class to go.
But
What
it
is
was
it?
tried last year. But
We still
somehow,
have. Yeah.
but somehow the teachers were not using it too often. Okay, perhaps because there are other platforms that is much more relevant for teaching and learning. Class dojo is experimental last year. Okay, but I think it doesn't pick up because I think the teacher is only specific teachers only use specific tools for the teaching and learning. They cannot use.
I saw on the television in China, I think they just the face scan student when your kid come to the school and they scan your face and send the message to the parent.
Oh, that one
Something like that, the technology.
That technology is available in childminding school here.
Oh,
So we do fostering. So last time we have this 18-month girl, baby girl. So we sign up for SPPIS. So we sign up for her to actually go to the school every morning. So when we sort of like check in, right?
yes.
So they check in, they take a photo and then email it to us.
Yes.
So we see,
Some message,
and then they say
yeah,
the
my kid
message,
already at the school.
and you as well, you're beside him, right? Right? So your photo is there as well. So we know who sent and who take her back.
Over here, at the most, we
Yeah.
use WhatsApp lah.
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
But that one is for small child. It is necessary so that you know it's not someone else that. Yeah.
Primary school.
Yeah. But for secondary school, we don't have. I mean, the one I said class dojo, right? But like for one of my daughters in Irshad, she's primary 5 now. So they actually communicate via various method. If let's say they have an excursion where it's like a camping, 5-6 days camping, they open up a special private closed group in Facebook to say Khalifa 5, and then we can see the progress there.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
They use a game.
Yeah.
Game as a
In a few years back, we have a trip to
Yeah.
Timbang Lawan.
Yeah.
So basically, now I'm talking like a teacher pula.
Yeah.
But the thing is, no choice. Okay.
It's the
But
media person.
we update the parents using WhatsApp group. If let's say we have overseas trip, right? So I regularly update what happens to the child overseas to the parents directly through WhatsApp.
Do you have any formal channel of technology to like when the parents want to voice something to the school? Is there any application or is there any group chat or whatever?
Oh, don't have.
Don't have. Usually the parent may
How you
go
voice
to the
your voices?
currently if I got problem, for example, my child gets beaten up. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. But it's a friendly beating, between friends.
Okay.
Kids growing up.
Yes.
So I have feedback that my child was beaten up. So I have a channel. I don't go straight away to the principal. Okay, we go to the form teacher first.
Face to face.
Form teacher first. At least call to actually tell. But because it's my colleague, so I just tell on the face to face. Hey, my child gets beaten up.
Okay.
So there is no how to say. There is no
Social media.
Social media don't have.
like in Indonesia and Johor Bahru, Hidayah, there is a group, WhatsApp group of the parent for every level.
Oh.
Yeah, S1, S2, S1, because your student will study from the first primary school until 6, right?
Yeah.
And they will stay together until 6 years.
Oh, not,
so the
not
group of the
necessary.
parents.
Yeah, not necessary for
Because-
here. So over here is like if you, because if we follow the secular the Singapore method, from 1 to 3 you may be the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes also they change, and then 3 they start diverging to who are the fast learners, who are the slow learners, and then after that 4. I think that the primary 4 will be different classes, and then 5 also they may change also. So it's not like if you are stick to let's say 1A, you will be always not to 6A. It's not necessary. So in that sense, I think administration of the WhatsApp will be very very difficult.
The school here give what is it, a way for the teachers to basically have a choice to set up a WhatsApp group that involves all parents or not. That depends on the comfort of the teacher itself. How comfortable the teacher is to liaise with the parents. If the teacher choose to have a WhatsApp group which have all the parents inside, she can or he can. But if he choose not to, so it's alright. There is no insistence.
To be frank, not all parents are as proactive.
Yeah.
You know, so they some has the ideology is I put my child to school, make sure he's safe there and he study what he needs to study. You know,
As a parent, if I ask you, do you know what kind of the method the teacher teach in the classroom? Can you answer it?
I know briefly, but not entirely. Well, he should know lah. But
I ask you.
yes.
That is good. It will ask you to come to the school to observe the teacher how they teach in the classroom. School.
Sorry, was it?
Have you ever
Have you ever?
observed the
Oh
classroom?
no, I don't. I have not.
Maybe you got a letter from the school invite you to come to the school and observe.
Not yet. I haven't
Yeah.
received that yet. No.
What do you think the approach
Do you think
to
it's
school
good
is?
if you come to observe in the classroom?
Actually, okay. This is my personal opinion. If you start doing that, it becomes formal, right? Then everybody will make sure that it looks very nice. Yeah. But and then it's talking about private. Because I was trying to say you can put a camera on the classroom and you can see how the teaching is conducted. But again, that is actually intrusion to privacy. Yeah, you get me? So end of the day, I think teachers needs to have their own space to teach comfortably
Yes.
without parents looking behind their shoulders say, hey, you did wrong, you know, because they have their own method and their own style. But end of the day, for us, we actually normally have like daily or maybe weekly get together with
Because
the
this
student.
kind of this approach, I learned from the Japanese approach, lesson study. The lesson study once a month, the parents, the community, and everyone come to the school and see what teacher are teaching method.
Okay.
And
okay.
you can give the suggestion. I think the lesson study of Japanese approach.
Actually, it needs respect on both sides. Yeah, because parents, it becomes more complicated when the parents are teachers themselves. So they say, how come your school do this, my school do different? You know, they start trying to push you to do. So it may be counterproductive.
Yeah. We have any way today. My point is, I just want to know that does the parent get involved with the teachers, teachings, pedagogy?
Okay, how we for us, for me, and for ourselves, when we, especially for my son, right, we are we sort of follow up his development, even for our daughter. So normally they come back, say they just look at the result, whatever. Oh, this is not good. Then we will talk directly to the teachers, and sometimes the teachers also feedback us because, for example, last time my son suddenly failed one of his mathematics. Yeah, and then Mr. Mari called me and say, "Hey, your son never get grades, and then he suddenly gets." I at that time, personally, I said, okay, fine, because to me it's a learning curve. I said, never mind, let him learn failures, because if you don't have any failures, then you won't develop So that's what I really did actually. So just let me say, look what happened. You don't study, this is what you get. So from then on, he actually start develop and become more responsible learners. But to me, I think coming back to the point where how we actually engage and get to know what your student.
Do you have like parent association?
Yeah,
Satuan.
PSG.
Yeah.
We have personal support group. He's the
Previously.
previous president. Yeah.
Oh.
We have a PSG. So we have communication between the parents.
What the activity between two group between you and the school?
The PSG when we first that when they were is trying to establish the link between the parents and the school.
Yes.
But at that time when I was the chairman, our main objective is to make sure the parents and the child are involved. So every activity we do, we want to make sure that the child are there as well. But as usual, so when we have PSG, that not every parents are interested. So very few are really into it.
Did you get involved in budgeting? Nak buat ni binaan belakang tu?
Oh, no. We are not involved in that.
Donation for something?
Donation we do as in trying to help them to raise donation or awareness. We help whatever we can. But if we talk about dictating how the building looks like, no, we cannot. No.
Just few weeks ago, we have this thing called Musyawarah, which is something new that is initiated by our principal. This Musyawarah, they invite the parents to come in, and usually they will update the parents what happened in the school. For now, it's just starting.
Do you have like a school committee, right?
School committee?
School committee, yes. The parent should be the representative from the parent, from the community. Like us in Thailand, is the law of the
governors.
The governors,
Yeah.
the law. Also in the private school, every school, the school have to set up a committee, a representative from the parents, from the community leaders, about 6 to 7.
I don't know what you mean because it's similar to schools in UK. They have board of governors, they have parents governors,
Yeah, parent,
and
yes.
then after that you have the teachers.
Yes.
But over here there's no parent governors. They only have board of governors, which is actually most appointed individual
Yeah.
to actually work with the principal for the school. But the ones missing is actually the parents governors.
The BOG, right? That's the BOG, right?
Board of
Board of
governors.
governors.
Yeah.
There's the theory in the parent involvement in education. One thing is that the volunteering. Do you have any volunteering activities with the school as a parent?
Yeah, we do. I mean, when we first established the PSG, we started like 3 years ago. One of the main thing is volunteering to help them. But at that time, the focus was only about trying to do fundraising to help the school. We do a lot of activities, and then after that, we move into add value to both parents and child, where we have some get-together activities like archery, fun shoot, and stuff like that. So that's the focus for the PSG at that time was first to get more interest, and that's why we try to get more people to join to do sports together. But what we discovered during that time is when we do that, right, there seems to be still a bit of reluctance from staff from the school. Say, why is this parents trying to actually become busybody? What's going on in school?
Taking our job.
We can sense that. So we just put a step back and say, because there is very little interaction. Very few teachers actually come forward to say, hey, can we work together? No, just very few.
The thing because from the parents' perspective also, there seems to be like, okay, this is the teachers area,
Boundary,
this is the parents area. We don't cross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Respect to each other.
We respect each other. Yes. We don't like encroach to the other side. Yeah.
That's the thing, because for us, we don't think it that way. We think about the betterment of the child, betterment of the student. But the moment you start trying to ask questions, and then they say, "Oh, you're crossing the border." You get what I mean?
Crossing the territory.
Yeah, crossing the territory.
Can you tell us a bit about the character of the teacher for 21st century? what is in your mind? What do you think about the character of the teachers should be?
The character
Of the teachers.
of the teachers.
As a
Okay.
parents, not as a teacher.
Oh, as parent lah.
Yeah.
Okay, as parent.
What do you expect from the teachers for your kids?
Oh, this is a difficult question.
Yeah, teachers.
Yeah, so let
I have to take out.
Okay, for me, okay, I'm not a teacher, I can say.
Very easy, very easy.
Okay, actually, okay, I start first. Or
You start first.
Okay. For me, character of a teacher, not for 21st century lah, but throughout, the first thing they have to be approachable, less judgmental.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, I mean, this is the weakness for everyone. Be able to accept criticism from. Yeah,
very
that's important.
open-minded.
Open-minded, exactly, and not to be just say, oh, my way is right, yours is not is wrong, because I've been full tested. I've been full tested for many years when I teach. So sometimes there's new technology or new ways of teaching, just trying to explore and be more acceptable. And also to be knowledgeable lah. I mean, the
Yeah,
thing
of
is
course.
continuous. What do you call it? Professional development.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah, and end of the day, to me, it's about that approachability. So when parents talk, they don't automatically jump into conclusion. That's the issue we have normally. When try to talk, they say, "Are you saying that my teaching is wrong?" Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, on my part, the teacher of the 21st century must be really, really non-biased. Okay, and he or she must be a global citizen instead of only a madrasah teacher. She or he must be willing to accept new ideas, new ways of thinking. She must be able to understand what the student needs exactly outside there. Okay, the way of interaction, and then after that, she must be willing to say that I'm wrong. She must be able to admit that I'm wrong, and must be able to say that, hey, maybe, but I'm wrong, yes, but I can learn from this and I can improve. Okay, positive mindset. And the teacher must not be too quick to assign ability levels to the kid. For example, this kid can only move so far. That kid might not be able to become like that. I've seen so many kids. I see the eyes. So this kid quite good. You cannot get that kind of understanding. All right, you have to view that this child has his or her own time zone. He or she will develop in her own way. Not basically in your own way, but he or she in her own way she will develop. Okay, so you must not be too quick to judge, too quick to assign that this fellow is going to be a failure and all that. Always have this thing called husnuzon towards your charge, right? That even though that they may not be good in your subject, okay, but Allah Subhanahu wa Taala never create everybody equal.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own strength. So we cannot be too quick to judge the students. Not capable and all that. Yeah. So I myself learn from my own personal life, and so the people that we cannot be, how to say, like what I said just now, like we cannot say what's going to become the student.
Predict its future.
It's not fixed. Nothing is fixed. And be quick to realize that certain knowledge is obsolete, and certain knowledge need to be updated, and be aware of the different opinions out there, even in science. Be aware to accept that whatever that you teach has limitations, and it will not be true throughout the person's life. I always teach my chemistry students, say that whatever I teach you now is wrong. That's it. Why? Okay, because you are going to progress to Polytechnic, and this is going to what happen. You're going to progress to NUS, universities, and this is going to what happen. And you realize that all this that we are teaching is only true to a certain extent. Okay, so I expect the 21st century school teacher to be able to tell the kid that knowledge is so wide. What is true now may not be true later.
Trust. The final question. What made you trust to the school? Why you send your children here?
To madrasah.
Yeah, madrasah.
For me, it's a very, very simple answer. First thing is, okay, we want our children to have best of both worlds, a balanced education. Okay, and talking about secondary school, it become more important as in first, okay, in a secular country like Singapore, the only way that you can have your child, they are little girls, right, to cover up is when they go to madrasah. If they go to normal school, they can't do it. So we are really strict on that part. As in, we really want to make sure that they still follow through, and they also want to do that. And that's one of the main reason why the two other daughters are in madrasah. As for my son, we want to start because if the sisters go madrasah, of course the big brother must go first,
Yeah.
So he had to start an example. So that's one of the main reason why I chose them to go to madrasah. Specifically, why I want them to go to Madrasah Al Arabiah is because apart from that, this is not a madrasah as in a madrasah as per se. It's a science school. So in that sense, they have again best of both worlds. They have the Ukrawi covered. We don't have to worry about their prayers time. They will be taken care of, and at the same time, they will be able to learn useful skills and knowledge for their future.
Okay. You have a choice to send your student to the government school.
Yes,
but
correct.
Finally, why you student come here?
Okay, basically, my child wants to come here. Okay, my child wants to come here, and very strange.
Brainwash it.
I didn't brainwash him. I didn't brainwash him. In fact, maybe subtly lah. Because I went back from school. Then open house. Right?
You bring
I bring my son over here.
Subtle persuasion.
But I'm glad. But I'm glad that my son is here because I envision my son to be anything he wants to be. But he has to have a certain commitment to his religion, a very high commitment to his religion. He has to stand out from the other Singaporeans in terms of the dedication to his faith. He has to be he can be anything he wants, but he has to be a strong Muslim in this 21st century because there's so many issues facing out there. Issues that may make other children from the secular school confused. Now we have LGBT issue, we have the 377A, we have the pink dot, we have all sorts of issues surrounding us. So I want him to be a strong Muslim. By the time he faces this issue, he knows his stand. That's what I want my son to become.
If I can add, actually also based on our personal experience, right? When we are younger, we are in secular, and then on my personal experience, we went to the UK, worked with all the non-Muslims and the English, and then they talk about religion, and then you dumbfounded, sometimes you can't answer. I said, God, this is difficult, because you are in that area and you are alone and you can't even defend your own religion. So based on that perspective, say this cannot be. We need to actually equip ourselves better. So I sort of like saying, okay, it shouldn't happen to my children. So I said, okay, they need to know and need to learn better, much more, involved in their religion, so that even if they bring this forward to their academic or even to their normal working life, right, they can easily relate what they learn against what Islam itself. For example, what the school is already doing, as I said earlier, is they start linking that, saying, okay, chemistry in terms of what stuff, who actually discovered this, and then we start opening, it's not the Westerners, it's actually the Islamic civilization, thousands of Islamic civilization. So these are the kind of thing that people do not know, although it's actually just under our nose. It's just about reinforcing and telling them, and then from there they can relate. Okay, chemistry is like this. Why not we took that perspective? You know, there's many alternative avenues for them to actually look at, rather than just one based on research papers that comes out from the Western side. Yeah, nowadays open up. Oh yeah, actually the Quran says this. Maybe there's some
In terms of knowledge, it's not much a problem. But when in terms of interaction with the multicultural society, like non-Muslim, do you think your children is going to be okay for the future?
I can say right now, right, for my son, he's doing very well. The reason why I say he's very well, I mean, the moment he is graduated from school, he still have that same mentality that, you know, treats everybody the same. So at the moment now, he is actually one of the ambassadors for the polytechnic, where ambassadors means only a few handful were selected. If they apply for it, selected to become the example or the ambassador for the school, to promote, to get people to join the school. So based on that, his involvement now, he's very busy. He's like getting involved with so many people of different faith, and you know, even now got his friend like
some problem with our student in Thailand, because from birth to high school they always stay with the Muslim.
I think
when they go to university, there's something they don't know how to interact with non-Muslim.
I think that's where Al Arabiya they don't do that, because like now what I realize as well, even though they don't have specific interaction with other schools, but they do invite schools to come over, like Japanese school to come over. They do interaction like that, and then sports. There's more interaction with sports.
Right.
They, like my daughters, they actually go for
join the activities outside.
And they meet other people. I think probably the next phase they probably can do is like they have to do a workshop together with other students, maybe activities together, things like that. But I think the NYP and the youth pro sector, they do the national youth program, is it?
Oh yeah, the national architectural program too.
Not architecture, the one that they go for the camp, Sec 3.
The NYA camp.
NYA.
The NYA camp, no, we still do
On your own, but you go to the schools that provided by MOE, right?
Correct. That one we do.
Yeah.
And on the thing is, first of all, maybe the secret is they actually emphasize on English language. So with English language mastery, the people can easily communicate with the other races. Okay. If you go to maybe other madrasas, they like to talk Malay all the time. So when they switch to polytechnic, there is a little bit of tension there. But our madrasa students are very well versed in English, so there's no language barrier. Okay, and so they interact freely. And I found something that is quite spectacular. I found that people from madrasa seems to be doing better in polytechnics. Perhaps because in madrasa they suffer from 10 to 12 subjects, and then when they go to polytechnics they only have 6 subjects at most.
And now it's modular, 6 months. So
and plus they can come late and nobody chases after them.
Tell me about that.
So they are much more relaxed, and they seem to be coping better with their lives there.
But coming back to your point about interaction, right?
Yes.
You're right. What we need to do as madrasah as a whole, the whole world, is to be more interactive with the outside world. So like, I don't know, maybe like in Singapore they have like compulsory interaction where, you know, not really interaction, but they start to see there's more beyond madrasah. So for example, like our daughter in primary 5, they go to national program where the national program is so funny, but it's like National Day celebration. They bring they actually bring them to the place to watch National Day, those kind of things. So actually they know that we are part of Singapore, things like that. So they know that we are not just madrasah student, we are also Singaporean.
Your research topic, interface dialogue.
interface dialogue.
Interface dialogue.
Yeah.
Interfaith dialogue, madrasah unit have one, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Over here in
Oh, we
Singapore,
should do it in the school level as well.
Yeah.
Interfaith dialogue.
School level.
in
university
Singapore
level also.
about interfaith dialogue, right? Is there is a very high standard of what they call it, not concern lah, but high standard of apa tu?
Apa tu lah, hikmah.
Itulah yang apa? Observation lah. As in like
observation.
you cannot cross the border to look down on another religion. They have the
yeah,
RRG,
yeah.
you know. They call it religious apa? Harmony.
Religious racial group. Allah Akbar.
In Singapore, based on religious harmony lah.
Yes.
So
I used to listen that if we are three in the table and one is non-Muslim, if they don't eat pork, we can order the food that have
Yeah.
pork. We have to respect each other. Like everyone is Buddhist, and we only one are Muslim, and the Buddhists know that we can't eat pork, so they will not order the food.
Wow.
That
where from here?
in Singapore, yeah.
No.
No, we don't have that one.
I mean, if you go to the working world, right? I've been in the working world, right? So I've been working with so many non-Muslims and stuff, right? They can eat whatever they want. We can eat whatever we want. We just sit down together. That's it.
Sit down together.
But there are, I mean, maybe you got this idea from someone who says, or the
maybe
Muslim don't
someone.
want to sit with us because that's entirely wrong.
correct.
Yeah. In fact, if you go to hawker centers here, right, they use this to actually choke place, and you can sit one seat, and the others can be other people eating other kind of food.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm a practicing Muslim, but in the Tampines, circle area, there's more non-Muslim stalls than Muslim stalls.
Yeah.
Really
And they
interesting.
eat whatever food they eat.
Oh,
eat.
okay.
And because there's no space, right?
Yeah.
So we just eat together. We don't really like segregate. Oh, this must be a Muslim only table. No, we don't have that.
I think the only now that what we're saying is they have two different trade returns area, halal and non-halal. They do say that there's no difference. Yeah, and it had all color coded. Green is always halal, the non-green one is non-halal. Always color-coded, But in terms of integration, you're right. There is still a gap. They need to actually do that. But alhamdulillah, in Singapore, most of the madrasah I can see that all of them easily can get along. With others.
Because the global citizen is the main point of the 21st century as well.
Yes.
Global citizen.
And that's actually go back to the teaching that you are doing in school. If the teaching is only talking about us and not them, that's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to actually talk about more. That's where you come back to actually what is the madrasah teaching.
Currently, these madrasah have a lot of teachers who are ex-government school teachers like me. So I can see that my son is exposed to a lot of brand new innovations, brand new ideas. Like for example, talk about this opinion, that opinion about a certain matter that is way outside madrasah. I think this is a result because of the teacher himself or herself came from the government school, so the ideas that they have is actually coming from the government school, so it's much more open. Like the previous one, they are actually discussing about LGBT, whether it's right or wrong, things that is way outside madrasah, and I think I feel comfortable with that.
I think you're right, because if you were to bring LGBT topic to a traditional madrasah, right? They will say straight away, don't talk about it.
This is haram.
But rather over here is they do critical thinking.
Critical thinking, what you think?
Why is this LGBT and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
In our country, still, what as you say, they will not allow to have a discussed topic in the madrasah.
I think the way approach for your kind, I'm not sure whether it's right or wrong, but it's about bringing more teachers from the mainstream or rotating the teachers around. Because if you are always on the same school, you won't learn new stuff.
Correct. I myself, I wish that it's possible as a teacher that I can actually go back to my own government school, teach for 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe then come back again here, so that I can, bring in fresh new ideas, fresh new perspectives.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We have learned a lot of the knowledge and experience from
Alhamdulillah.
the Singaporean parents.
Thank you. Alright, okay.
Inshallah.
Assalamualaikum.
Inshallah. Yang.
Let's see you. Assalamualaikum.
I don't know so much. I don't know.
Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you so much.
And welcome to Thailand.
Inshallah.
Brother Sharif is from Krabi.
From Krabi?
Yeah, you want to go to Phuket?
Oh. How do we get your name card?
Okay, I can contact you. Okay, Krabi. You want to go to Bini? Yeah.
Inshallah.
Kini is Papa Tigiri.
No.
Oh, Ghana.
Yeah, yeah,
Ghana.
Anytime. You want to go to Africa.
What do you call it? Islamic Online University is over there as well. Brother Philip.
Bilal Philip. Oh, I think that is in South Africa.
South Africa. Alright.
Thank you so much. Finish? Still walking.
Parents.
พูดถามนิดเดียวเอง
What is that?
ที่เหลือเขาพูดหมดเลย
Parents.